So good morning again, everybody. My name is Derek D'Orazio. I am the Grants Branch Manager and Compliance Officer at North Carolina Emergency Management, or NCEM. My office, the Grants Management Branch, is responsible for managing a number of different federal and state grant programs across the entire state, one of which is the Nonprofit Security Grant Program, or NSGP, and that's what we're here to speak to you about this morning. All told, my office, Grants Management Branch, we manage about 10 different federal and state grant programs across the entire state, roughly do about $80 to $85 million a year in grants that we manage. And the NSGP is certainly one of those important programs of the 10 that we manage. So before we get started about our Salesforce demonstration we have today, because that's really our focus, I do want to acknowledge our guests that we have in the audience. So we have one person joining us, Robert. And Robert, I want to start with you, sir, and see if you have any specific questions we can help you with before presentation our Salesforce demonstration. So Robert, do you have anything we can help you with today, sir?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Really for us today is just looking at what the options would be to advance our security options for our local church.
Okay. And what organization are you with, sir?
Dudley Choles Baptist Church in North Carolina.
All right. Outstanding. Okay. So have you, you have not got your Salesforce account yet, or registered a Salesforce account, or is a contact on that account?
No, sir, and that would not be me. It would be our pastor, who was unable to jump on here today. So,
okay.
And he still may join us.
Okay.
But as of now, he's not on there. But
okay.
I think he is obtaining our number, and then we're working on putting together our packet. This was just recently sent to us at the end of last week.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and walk you through a little overview of the program so you kind of know what you're getting into. And then we're going to go ahead and demonstrate Salesforce for you. So let me share my screen to start. And again, this is being recorded. I know we only have one guest in the audience right now, but these videos will be posted on our website along with all of our other information sessions that we've had. Typically we do have a lot of folks that do watch these videos. So we treat this as if there was 100 people in the room, right? And we're doing the same thing with our training. Again, all the videos are posted on our website. This is probably darn near the 10th or so, or I mean, we've done a lot of these information sessions, but they are quickly coming to a close. This might be Janine, is this our last information session? Or do we have one more after this? Janine?
Good morning. This is our last information session for the NSGP.
This is our last information session that we have. So they're coming to a close. And the reason that's important, and I'm going to share my screen here in a minute, like I said, the application deadline is fast approaching. Originally, the application deadline to submit your application in Salesforce was 5/24/24, so originally was tomorrow. We have authorized a 1-week extension, so now the deadline is 5/31/24. So you must have your application, your complete application, submitted in Salesforce no later than 11:59 p.m. on 5/31/24, as stated on our website. That's a hard stop. Salesforce will cut you off at 11:59 p.m. on 5/31/24, and no further extensions can be authorized, because once we collect the subrecipient applications, we have to turn around and apply as a state for federal funding to FEMA. So we collect your applications as the sub-applicants, we package them up, we score them, we rank them, we then send it to FEMA to get our funding and to get final approval of who's going to get these awards. And we have to do that in June. So no more extensions can be authorized for y'all. 5/31/24, 11:59 p.m. is your deadline to submit your applications in Salesforce, as stated on the website. So I am referring you to the website. A lot of what we're going to talk about today is right from our website, including, most importantly for you, Robert, in your church, if you're going to pursue this, the link to Salesforce, right? So anywhere you see these blue hyperlinks, you can click on those and it will open up a hyperlink here to Salesforce. So if you do not yet have your account for your organization, so you create an account for your organization, and you register yourself as a contact associated with that account. If you do not yet have that, you will click on the Salesforce link on the website, and then you will see where it says new user. You'll click here. And then there's a registration form. We call it the EM registration request form that you have to fill out. You have to fill out all the information here on the form. where there's a little I button. If you click on that button, it gives you more information about what we want in that field. These are called fields that you complete. So as you go through, it's pretty self-explanatory as to how to answer the questions. So if you're a new user, you request new user requesting access under request type. Is your organization, please select user type. For this, you would just say, I'm a representative for an applicant organization. Are you registered in the system? So if you're not already in Salesforce, you just click no. If for some reason you are in Salesforce, you click yes. There's a drop-down list here. You can select your organization. And that way you would just associate yourself as a new contact with the existing organization. So let's say, Robert, your pastor created the account. He registered himself as a contact associated with your church's account. If you want to go register as a user, you would just say yes, select that organization because the account's been created if he's already created it, and then associate yourself as a new contact with that account. That's why this question is asked here. And there's more information. Click the I button right there. Request a permission level, just say full access usually is what you want. Nobody really says anything else for that. Your program, you're going to select NSGP for your program. These are all the different grant programs that we have, but you want to select NSGP. There's your grant program right there. And everything else is pretty much self-explanatory. Then you would click register. Then it comes to us. We'll do our wizardry behind the scenes to get you all set up with your account and or as a contact associated with that account. And then you'll get an email with instructions how to proceed from there to access the system. So that's the way you basically register as a new user and a new account in Salesforce. All right. And all that I just told you is on this YouTube video that we have here linked on our website. Miss Amanda Thaxton, who is one of the staff, and she's one of our lead program managers for the NSGP grant program and a resident Salesforce expert. She has recorded this video. You'll hear her voice on this video walking you through the process of how to register as a new user. So that's linked right there. So that's the most important thing, Robert, and anybody else who has not yet established their account for the organization or register as a contact associated with that account. You must follow these steps as soon as possible because you must submit the application in Salesforce. That's the most important thing I want to mention. All right, pretty much everything else you're going to hear today is going to be addressed on our website, in various capacities. One more feature of the website, if you go to the right-hand side of the screen, click on the application documents link over here. So NSGP program, application 2012 over NSGP application documents. Click on that link. The documents you need to fill out and complete that you will then attach to Salesforce are here. Okay, primarily it's the investment justification. All right. So please understand you must download this form to your computer. It is not web viewable or web fillable. So if you click on this link, all right, you're going to get what appears to be an error message. All right. That's not an error message. You must download the form. Okay. Put it right on your local computer. I put it in my downloads folder, put it on your desktop, wherever you want to put it. I put it in my downloads folder. Hit save, and you save it on your local computer. It will not open in the web or a web viewer. You must go ahead and access it on your local computer. So I go to my downloads folder. Then I can use my free Adobe program or paid Adobe program or any PDF program that you have to access the investment justification form on my computer. All right. It is form fillable on your computer, okay, with any version of Adobe, like I said, free or paid, or any PDF filler that you may have. Pretty much is self-explanatory as you fill out all the information on this IJ form. But the nice thing about it is this will tell you how many points each of the questions is worth out of a possible 40 points. So you can see, how you're going to be scored following those questions along. Where you see arrows, they're drop-down lists. Okay, so please understand you got to select one of the drop-down items where there's an arrow. You can fill it all out and you can save it and then submit it in Salesforce. Okay, an important part of this is this section 4B. This is where you're going to essentially build out your budget of what you're requesting to be funded. And then this is what you're going to go ahead and pretty much replicate in Salesforce. So there's a few screens you got to fill out in Salesforce, and then you come to the budget. You're going to pretty much copy over the budget into Salesforce to create budget lines. Then you're going to go ahead and attach this IJ form in Salesforce. You also must attach your mission statement and your vulnerability assessment. You may optionally attach other documents that you want, but you must attach the three main documents: the IJ, investment justification, which is this form. You must attach your mission statement and your vulnerability assessment. And that's pretty much the process. So you do your IJ first, get your vulnerability assessment and your mission statement, then go into Salesforce and upload and complete the application in Salesforce and upload the documents. And that's pretty much how it works. Okay.
Hey,
Is there a
Derek, I
question?
had a quick question.
Yes.
If you
Yes,
could
sir.
back up to
Yep.
when we build out our list of
Yep.
what we're requesting.
Yep.
Please understand that we're new to this. We have a security team that's comprised of many years of professionals, but this aspect of this we're new, and we're going to this because we've experienced. We've been unfortunate enough to experience some things. So that being said, is there some form of example for this this section you're talking about of what is?
Yeah, that's a good question. So again, wherever you see the
We
drop
don't want
the
to shoot
arrows,
the moon.
Yeah. Wherever you see the drop down arrows, okay, you could select, right? So this is pretty much all the stuff. You see this drop down list is all the stuff you can buy, all the goods and services you can buy with this grant. Okay. These alphanumeric characters here, the 03 OE, 03 mega here, that's called your AEL, your authorized equipment listing. You'll need that for Salesforce. But this pretty much tells you the stuff you can buy. So, let's say you wanted to buy, what's a popular one we see here? Let's say you wanted to buy an alarm, right? 14SW01 alarm is your AEL, and that's the line item right there. System sensors alarm. Security doors, impact resistant security doors, 14SW01 door, right? We see a lot of doors. There's cameras on here, lighting, and so forth. So you can see all the different things here. So you're going to simply select the item. It must link to a vulnerability addressed in your vulnerability assessment. So, let's say, for example, you did pick, let's say you picked doors, all right? Then the vulnerability assessment would have to say something like, front doors not secure, or something like that, whatever your vulnerability is, right? And then your estimated funding here, $50,000, whatever it costs. That's how you build it out right there. Now, there are examples as well on our website. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
No, the examples, that's a good question. I just, and I'm sure you guys would understand this. We want to, obviously our goal is to protect our church, our congregation, our property. And we're thankful for this opportunity, whether we get it or not. It's pointing us in the right direction. But we all want to be reasonable about this and stewards of available funds. We're not trying to request more than what's reasonable. We're just kind of learning what's reasonable at the same time. So is there an example of average awards?
Is
there?
Yeah, there is. So first of all, like I said, if you go on the website, and by the way, if you just Google NCEM space NSGP, it'll take you right to this website. But see the example projects here? You can also click on this. This is right from FEMA's guidance, include contract security, fencing, lighting, cameras, security reinforced doors, window treatments, etc. There's another list of example projects on page 8 to 9 of this NOFO that FEMA published. So there's some example projects right there. And then the amounts you can apply for, essentially, you can apply for up to $150,000 per location, per site. So if you have one site, single church, $150,000 is your maximum award amount. You can apply for, if you have 3 locations, you can apply for up to $450,000. So $150,000 per location, and that's the max you can apply for is $450,000. So if you had 6 locations, you have to apply for a max of $450,000 among the 6 locations. Each location requires a separate application. So if you got a single church, single site, you can apply for $150,000, and you probably want to use one of these example projects. My advice to you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Yep. And like I said, just for everybody's edification, just Google NSGP space NCEM. Everything I'm telling you is on the website right here. All right. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Miss Amanda Thaxton to run through a few slides just to introduce the program a little more. Or I'm sorry, Brad's available now. Brad, you and/or Amanda to run through some slides to talk about the program substantively, and then we'll proceed with the Salesforce demonstration. So Brad and/or Amanda, take it away.
I'll do it, Amanda. Hello, everyone. My name is Brad Garrett. I am one of the NSGP grant administrators, along with Amanda Thaxton. And we are here to discuss the program, the Nonprofit Security Grant Program. Okay, the next slide. Okay, as you know, originally we had the deadline set for this Friday, the 24th, but we extended that deadline until the 31st at 11:59 p.m. So gives you a little more time to try to get everything together. Derek pointed out the investment justification. That is the application that we as the SAA must submit to FEMA. And along with that, you must apply for everything in Salesforce. So that's the thing. So you must have, there's documents that you must upload into Salesforce, and the investment justification is the application for FEMA, along with the vulnerability assessment and your mission statement. And if you have supporting documentation, like Derek pointed out, if you had incidents at your location, if you've got police reports, if you've got insurance claims, pictures of incidents where you graffiti or whatever on the wall. So those are the things that you would apply for in Salesforce with those application items. Next slide, please. Okay, this talks about the Preparedness Grants Management Branch. We call it GMB. NCEM as a whole manages 20 major recurring federal and state grant programs, disaster and non-disaster, totaling almost $500 million a year. In the Grants Management Branch, we are within North Carolina Emergency Managed. We manage about 85 million in preparedness grants, non-disaster per year across 10 programs. That's HSGP, EMPG, Nonprofit Security Grant, HMEP, EOCGP, SLCGP, Tier 2, and the following, the next three grants are all state grants. That's NC211, VOAD, and CBCG. Okay, next slide. This is the grant life cycle. I don't know if Derek pointed this out to you, but this is the process that the grants go through. So of course, everything starts off with the NOFO in the middle, the blue box. Derek, did you speak to this already?
I did not, Brad.
Okay. All right. So it starts off with the NOFO for the federal grants. State grants are awarded. Okay. So once the notice of funding opportunity is released, there's an application period. Like with NSGP right now, we're in the application period ending May 31st. So once we go through the application period, then the awards are selected. Whoever's selected, those that are not, get the now letters. We send out award letters to the awardees. Okay. We send out the award letter to notify you that you've been awarded, how much you've been awarded, and we ask you for documentation at that point as well, 5 required documents. We'll talk about that later. Next is when we send out the MOA agreement. The MOA, Memorandum of Agreement, is the contract between North Carolina and your organization. For NSGP, we are the recipients of the grant. We are the awardees. You are sub-awardees. So we send you out you go into contract with us. Okay. Next in the cycle would be cost reports, or we also call them requests for reimbursement. Okay. Once you've gone through this, for this grant, once you're awarded, you may have to do an EHP. 90% of the awardees have to do EHP. That's an environmental historical preservation form. You have to submit documentation, photos of where you might have work done. If you are having any work done to the building where you're attaching, screwing in, replacing anything like that on the inside or outside of the building, if you're putting in a fence or bollards or lights, if you're moving a teaspoonful of dirt, it's going to require an EHP. So once we get all of that back, we get the completion review back from FEMA, you're now ready to start your projects. Okay. If you'll read in the MOA, there's certain things you have to do. You have to follow proper procurement procedures. You have to make sure that the vendors you use are not disbarred or suspended. There's 3 websites, 2 state, 1 federal website that you have to go to check this. If you do use a disbarred vendor, you will not be reimbursed. So you must make sure that you are following all of you're complying with the MOA agreement. Okay, so now you've got the vendor, they come out, they've done the work, they've invoiced you, and you have paid. So now you do a cost report, request for reimbursement. The invoice must be invoiced from that vendor for the amount of the work. Proof of payment is either a canceled check, a bank statement, credit card statement, ACH statement from your bank. We need to see where you actually paid this vendor. Another thing to point out, this grant is reimbursable. So you make the payments first, we reimburse once everything is approved, okay? Then there's also a reporting requirement. We've gone to yearly reporting for this grant this year. It's just updates on what's going on with the grant, where you are at that time, just letting us know that the grant is proceeding along schedule. There is a 3-year period of performance on this grant. So we just want to make sure that it's not year 2 and you haven't even started any work yet. So this for that. And then after that, there's the closeout procedure. We ask for closeout documentation, pretty much all the documentation that you've submitted to us. We are trying to ensure that you have that documentation. There's also audit procedures. There's different levels regarding how much state or federal grant money you received in a year. Okay, you report to those levels, and you have to report the audit levels for each year of the grant, or each year that you are in process with the grant. You might close out the grant in year 2 of the grant. So we'll need all that information for that. Okay, next slide, please. The Nonprofit Security Grant Program. Okay, the priorities. The number 1 priority for this grant is the national priority area is soft targets and crowded places. Okay, FEMA has designated this grant for that. Secondary to that is the cybersecurity side of things. This is to enhance, this grant is for physical security and enhancements, okay, for your facility. Also, effective training, okay? The grant is designed to help you train your staff, your congregation, anyone that uses your facility, okay, to train them on what to do in the event of an incident, okay? Then also, we have the planning, you have the training and the awareness campaigns, and you have exercises. You could put on active shooter training, stop the bleed, shelter in place. And these are all things that you can ask for funding for. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, who's eligible for funding? First, you must be an eligible 501c3. There are certain 501c3s that are not eligible, like volunteer fire departments, for-profit nonprofits, governmental entities. Okay, those types of nonprofits would not be eligible for this grant. But you have to meet the description under Section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code of 86 and be exempt from taxes under Section 501a. Okay, as I mentioned, you must be an eligible nonprofit organization. And if you have any questions about your eligibility, you can contact myself or Amanda, and we will let you know if you are eligible. Okay, you must be able to demonstrate through the application that the organization is at high risk of a terrorist or other extremist attack. That's why, like, the supporting documentation would demonstrate that. And also, in answering the questions on the IJ, you must be specific about incidents that are occurring either in your denomination, in your organization, in your area, nationally. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, funding sources and amount. NSGP has 2 funding sources, or we call them funding streams. There's the NSGP stateside, okay, which here in North Carolina is everywhere except the 8 counties, Mecklenburg County and the 7 surrounding counties. Okay, you would all, if you're in that area outside of those 8 counties, you would be applying for the NSGP stateside. Okay, located outside of the 24 UASI. Charlotte is the UASI here in North Carolina. There are 41 UASIs throughout the country. They compete for the other side of the stream of funding. This year, the total stateside funding nationally was 137.25 million, I believe it is. Okay, as you can see, for the NSGP UASI and for state subrecipients, with one site, you may apply for up to 150,000 for that site. You can apply for 3 sites, 150,000 each. And in a unique situations, there are some entities that have locations in the UASI and in the state. If you apply for 3 in the UASI, 3 in the state, you can only apply up to a total of $450,000. Okay, next slide. Okay, this speaks about the UASI. Like I said, Charlotte is a designated UASI for this grant. It must be either in Mecklenburg County or the 7 surrounding counties. There are 6 counties that touch Mecklenburg, and I believe Stanley is the only one that does not, but it is in the UASI. Next slide, please. This is the UASI map for NSGP. As you can see, the 8 counties, okay, Cabarrus, Catawba, Gaston. It's the 8 counties that are listed here. If you need to, we can let you know. There is a question on the IJ that asks you if you are in the UASI or not. You must answer that question correctly. Okay, it's just a checkbox asking you, and then it asks you what UASI you're in. And if you're in one of these 8 counties, you will put down Charlotte. Next slide, please. Okay, this just gives you an idea of the programmatic growth of the program from 2018 up until last year. As you can see, in 2018, the state of North Carolina was funded $135,000. Okay, as you can see, the growth last year, we were awarded $5.8 million, a little more than $5.8 million. There's been a 10% cut in funding across the board for FEMA grants this year, but due to the number of applications that we're receiving, we're anticipating either matching last year's number or exceeding it. And that's because of the growth of this program. Next slide, please. How to apply. As Derek pointed out, go to our website. Our website has all the information that you need. It gives you everything that you need to do. It gives you more detail about the program itself. The notice of funding opportunity that was released in April. So something else that you may want to read, there's a link there. Salesforce. This is the first year we're using it as a grants management tool. The steps to applying Salesforce are really not that difficult. If you do have any troubles with that, Amanda is our Salesforce expert. And that's why she's working along with NSGP this year because of this. And she's also has extensive experience dealing with nonprofits. The vulnerability assessment. You must do a vulnerability assessment. You can either have local law enforcement come out and do it for you, or there is a self-assessment tool. It's also, on the webpage, there's a link to the self-assessment tool. The vulnerability assessment is going to point to you where you are vulnerable, okay? What you need the capability gaps that you need to strengthen, where you have gaps, what's needed. You might go out and say, well, we need cameras. We need a fence. We need access security, access doors, blast resistant glass. These are the things that you're going to be asking for funding for on the IJ. And in Salesforce, that's the budget portion of Salesforce. You're going to duplicate the answers from the IJ into the budget portion in Salesforce. The mission statement, every organization should have one. It's one of the documents that you have to submit for application. We prefer that you put it on your organization's letterhead and submit it as a separate document. And the investment justification, you'll hear us say IJ a lot. That is the application from FEMA that has to be filled out. Derek has explained to you how you have to download it in order to open it, because it's not a web fillable form. It's got to be downloaded and then filled out. You save it. There's a naming convention. If you read the IJ, the very first page tells you the naming convention for the documents that you're going to submit. It's very easy. It's really not that involved with that, but we ask that you name the documents according to that naming convention when you upload them in Salesforce. SAM.gov registration. You must go to SAM.gov and register your organization. Registrations have to be renewed yearly, but you also get your UEID number from SAM.gov. SAM.gov, once you get your UEID number, that's it for life. It replaced the DUNS number a couple of years ago. In order to apply for the grant, you do not have to have a UEID number. So if you're in Salesforce and it asks there for your UEID number, you can just put TBD, okay? And then when you get it, you can always go back in and then upload it there. Yeah, UEID, and I just spoke about that, the UEID number. But now, in order, if you are funded, you must have a UEID number in order to submit reimbursement requests. So I would start, if you don't have it now, start the process now. It could take a little time, a couple months, month or two. Sometimes they're doing it a lot quicker, but you have to have that.
And
Also,
Mr. Bradley, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I want to make sure that I understand that, if you don't mind.
sure.
So we can go ahead and follow through with all this. And again, a little backstory. We were just made aware of this within a week. So we're kind of scrambling to get all of this. We want to make sure all our ducks in a row and do this the right way. So we can go ahead and apply for our UEID number. And
Right.
even though we don't have that yet, we can still go to Salesforce and apply for the grant and get all that done. And then once we get our UEID number, we can go back and add that, correct?
That is correct. On the IJ, it's going to ask you if you have a UEID number as well. And there's a box, it's just a check box, yes or no. If you check yes, of course, you would include your UEID number. No, you don't have it. You can apply for this grant without a UEID number. Okay, next slide. Okay, this year, as well in the past, FEMA has given additional points to first-time applicants and underserved communities, disadvantaged communities. This year, they're doing it a little different. They're using the Climate and Economic Justice Screening Tool, CJES. That's a website. You know, we have links here. You can go to that website. On that website, you would include, you put in your address. Well, we found out that if you put your address, city, and state in, you click yes. You may have to do it a couple times, but if it comes back yes, that you are in a disadvantaged area, you'll receive an additional 15 points. On the IJ, there is a question that asks you, have you ever been funded before? Prior to this year, it used to be first-time applicants, but now they're going, if you haven't been funded before, you get an additional 10 points. So it's up to a total of 25 points here that you can receive if you fit into these two criteria. Next slide, please. Okay, recipient documents and related topics. DocuSign, we're working on having all documents signed in Salesforce. Nintex, we're still working out a few things with that, but hopefully by the time we get to the MOA selection or sending out MOAs, we have all that straightened out. The award letter, spoke on that earlier. That's what we send out to you initially to let you know you got the award. And if you didn't get it, we send out a denial. Okay. Memorandum of agreement, I spoke to that. That's the contract. Reimbursement request forms, that's cost reports or reimbursement requests. The EHP, that's a form that's something, like I said, 90% of recipients have to do an EHP. You cannot start any work until FEMA completes the review. Okay, there are items that do not require an EHP. So we do have a self checklist that we could send out once we get to that point. If you need to do one, you can go through there. You may have like contract security. You don't need to do an EHP for contract security, but you may have other projects that you do need one for. So please keep that in mind. The annual reports, okay, we spoke on that. Site visits, closeout reports. That's once you expend all funding, or we get to the end of the period of performance. This grant is going to run 3 years from September 1st of this year through August 31st of 2027. Minor scope modifications. Okay. You may run across a situation where, say, for instance, you're putting in cameras and you were granted $50,000 for the cameras. Cameras end up costing $60,000. You can, for up to 10%, say you get $150,000, 10% of that funds can be moved to your projects that you were awarded for. It's usually on a case-by-case basis that we do this. You have to submit a letter requesting the move, telling us why you're moving. You need to move funds from one project to another. Like I said, 10% can be done. Anything over 10% has to be amended by FEMA. Because this grant is competitive, could be an issue. Okay, so you don't want to get yourself into that. That's why when you're asking for funding, it's best to at least get quotes so you have a general idea of how much it's going to cost for a project. And then I also try to tell people you might want to include another 5 to 7% on top of that, incidentals. Okay, period of performance extension. Okay, we call it the POP. Like I said, it runs 3 years. And then again, once again, case by case basis, we can grant extensions. There have been circumstances where we extended the complete grant because of like COVID. Okay, we had to do an extension for the whole grant because of that. Next slide, please. The 5 required documents. If you get the award, if you are granted the award, in the award letter, we're going to ask you to send us these documents. Okay, the North Carolina sub W-9, that's a different W-9 than the W-9 for the federal. This is just for this grant for this is a substitute for our recipients. So here in the state, so we have it. Okay, electronic payment vendor verification form. We are trying to send all payments out ACH. So we ask you for this. It's a form. We also ask you for a canceled check, letter from your bank showing your bank account numbers, so we can put that in. Conflict of interest policy, that's a state statute. That's the link right there to it. That's saying that you don't have anybody working for the church that also owns the business that you're getting work done from. So we want to make sure there's no conflict of interest going on there. Okay, the sworn no overdue tax debt certificate. This form must be notarized. You can get it off the website. You notarize that to the fact that you do not have any overdue taxes. And it's a certification. You sign it, you say you don't have any overdue taxes. If we find out you do later, it could be an issue. And then the procurement policy. Because this is a federal grant, you must follow the procurement under grant policies from the federal government. Usually it is 2 CFR 200.317 through 328. And it has to do with purchases, thresholds. It has to do with getting quotes and bids for things. It's highly suggested that you read this. There's also classes that FEMA puts on that you can attend to really get enlightened on this. We have to follow it. You have to follow it. You do not want to get caught up in a situation where you're not following the proper procurement and we decline a reimbursement because of that. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is, like I said, this is a competitive grant. Okay, so everything is being scored. The IJ is being scored. You're up against all the applicants, either on the state side, if you're outside of the 8 counties that make up the Charlotte UASI, or if you are in those 8 counties, you're going up against the other 40 UASIs throughout the country. It is highly competitive. There is a scoring matrix. What it does is it tells you there's a question, a 5-point question. It gives you, well, why would you get a 0? 1 up to 5. So it kind of tells you how you should answer. It doesn't tell you how to answer it, but it gives you an idea of how the scoring is should you answer it like this. Okay. The investment justification, again, I said that's the application. And then there's the FEMA PDAT. That's for the procurement information. It's a form there. It's also one of the documents that we can send out to you. Okay, Next slide, please. This is the Salesforce portion. This is today's the final Salesforce virtual that we're putting on, the information session. This is the final one. All the others, this one will also be added. So the one from the 20th, the recording is there. All the sessions are recorded. So if you want to go to the website, you can see the recordings. You can listen to them, watch them. Okay. And it gives you the information to where you should send the information to. These are the contacts. And for anything for the grant, if on the Salesforce side, NSGP Salesforce.ncdps, or for grant related questions, nsgp@ncdps.gov. These are the contacts. Derek is also the EM compliance officer, as well as the grants branch manager. Janine Childs, she's a grant manager. Myself, Lisa Patton, Michelle Strong, and Amanda Thaxton, who is also the NSGP grant coordinator. Okay, next question. Next slide. Okay, Robert, do you have any more questions, sir? I see you got your hand up. Any questions, Robert? I think he's probably still got his hand up because he never took it down. Okay, I want to thank everybody for listening, and I'll turn this back over to Derek.
Outstanding, Brad. Thank you for that overview. With that, we're going to roll into our Salesforce demonstration. Let me share my screen again. I do want to take a pause and see if there are any questions before we do so. All right, seeing no questions, I will roll into the Salesforce demonstration. Before we do that, just to reiterate, all of our training sessions are on our website, all the previous sessions, and this one will be as well. If you go to the bottom of our website, again, just Google NCEM space NSGP. But right down here at the bottom of the website, you will see all the information sessions. These are the links to the recordings of all the previous sessions we've had. This one today will be put up here, hopefully later today or later this week, and you'll see all the session recordings here. There are additional workshops that we did across the state at various community colleges and places like that, a little more expanded workshops. You can also click on those links and watch those recordings as well under related content. So the bottom of the website has all the recordings, including this recording today. We'll be posting there very soon. Okay, so Brad gave a very thorough overview of the substantive program. I'm going to go ahead and show you how to put it in Salesforce. All right, so once you do have your proper access to Salesforce, so you are registered as a contact with your account has been created in Salesforce, your account being your organization, you will log on, you will see this screen. This is what we call our community portal. It's the screen that all of our applicants and grantees see when they log on to Salesforce. This is completely free for y'all to use. There's no cost to you to use Salesforce. We get charged for y'all's usage of it, kind of on a per click basis. So the more it gets used by y'all, the more we get charged. But there's no cost to you at all for using Salesforce. So you'll see this screen. The first thing I want you to do when you see this screen is click on your account profile. So these things at the top, these kind of drop down boxes at the top are called objects in Salesforce. And always click on more, you'll see the additional objects that you have. So all of these things are called objects. When you click on the object for account profile, you will see a list of accounts. Now, it's always important when you see a list, if you see this black arrow, always click on that and make sure it says all or accounts. Do not use recently viewed, or else you might not see your account, okay, or whatever list you're looking at, okay? So when you see a list in Salesforce, make sure it says all, right? Excuse me for that. And then you can pin that view. So that view will show up every time you click on the screen if you pin it, which I have it pinned here. All right. So you'll see a list. So you click on the object, you see the list of the accounts. It should only be one account if you have one organization. I have created a fictitious nonprofit organization in the state of North Carolina called Z Alpha Test. This is just for purposes of demonstration today. It's not a real organization, obviously. For our fake organization, Z Alpha Test, we are located in Durham County, North Carolina. So we are not in that UASI area that Brad mentions. So UASI area is those Mecklenburg County and those 8 counties or so touching Mecklenburg County. We are not part of that. We are in Durham County. So this is a non-UASI, just a state application we're going to go through. So you click on your account profile, click on your organization. Please make sure your information is updated for your account profile. Anywhere you see a pencil, simply click on that pencil and update the information, okay, in real time. So let's just say I'm reading this and I see, wait a minute, employees is wrong. I don't have 25 employees. We have 50 employees. Click on the pencil, type in 50 and hit save. And you've updated that in real time. Okay. Please make sure your classification, very important, your classification says nonprofit organization. Okay. You can also select nonprofit with 501(c) status. If you select nonprofit without 501(c) status, you're not eligible to apply for the grant. So you have to select nonprofit organization or nonprofit with 501(c) status. As Brad mentioned, you have to have 501(c) status to apply, or if you're a religious institution that has the equivalent of 501(c) status, you can apply as well as a house of worship. But if you don't fit those bills and you don't have a 501(c), you'd not be eligible to apply for the grant. So make sure you have the right classification in this box. All right. And then make sure your address is updated here. Okay. Let me save that real quick. Make sure the address information is updated. You put your website in there. When you get down here to grantee detail, this is an important box. These first three boxes are related to hazard mitigation grants. So this is a shared portal. We use this for our non-disaster preparedness grants that grants management branch manages. Our hazard mitigation section also uses it for their grants. So you'll see some things that are specific to hazard mitigation. It does not apply to you as a nonprofit applying for NSGP. These three boxes are part of that, so don't worry about those three boxes. That's related to hazard mitigation. Your FAIN, again, if you click on the I box, it gives you more information, right? Just hover over the I box. It's your tax ID. This is your federal tax ID number. Okay, so make sure you get that updated. You must have a FAIN. The UEID, okay, this is a question we always get. Again, if you click on the I box, it gives you more information. This is a 12-character alphanumeric value, uniform entity ID. There's a website linked here. Well, the path to the website is here. sam.gov is the website. You can get your UEID if you don't have one. Okay. As Brad mentioned, you do not need a UEID to apply for the grant. However, you must have a UEID to be awarded funds. Okay. So you can apply without UEID, but you're not going to get the money until you have a UEID. So if you do not have a UEID, please start that process on sam.gov to get a UEID ASAP. And really, a UEID, it's a unique number assigned to your organization. It's kind of like a social security number for your organization for the federal government purposes. It stays with your organization for life. It does not change, free of charge, no cost to get it. But it's the way the federal government identifies your organization, kind of like a social security number. So you must have that, no cost to you. In order to get it, you have to be registered in SAM. Okay, this talks about what SAM means here. If you click on the I box. SAM registration must be renewed every year. Again, there's no cost to you to do that, but you must be registered in SAM and must be current in SAM. At least for our grants, you must be current in SAM registered. So as you get a new SAM registration every year, update the date in Salesforce. For UEID, if you do not have a UEID at the time of application, okay, you can just simply click TBD, right, or TBA. You can enter in there as well, just to be determined, to be announced, something like that. And you'll be okay. All right. Or you can say, pending, whatever words you want to indicate that you're trying to get it. Usually TBD works. You will be able to go ahead and complete the field that way. And then you will update that UEID when you in fact get it. Okay. So make sure this information is correct. All right. And the reason I say make sure your account information is correct before you start your application is because the application will import your account information into it. If the information is wrong on your account, it'll be wrong on your application. You'll have to stop your application, come back, fix it on the account, then go back to the application. So to avoid that, make sure your account information is accurate and correct before you start your application. So that is the account object. There are also contacts associated with your account. Okay, this is called the contacts object. So you have your organization as your account, and these are the folks who represent your organization, including hopefully yourself if you're applying for this grant for your organization. You may have up to 5 contacts associated with your account. We ask you to limit it to 5 and no more than 5 because, again, we get charged kind of on a per usage basis for this. So we're trying to keep the cost down for the state. So please no more than 5 contacts registered associated with your account. In this case, I'm sub-applicant Derek. So I'm going to click on myself and make sure that my information is correct because, again, it's going to ask me who the POC is for this grant on my application. And it's going to pull me in. If I select myself, it's going to pull my information into that account, into that application, excuse me. So if my contact information is wrong on this object, it will be wrong on my grant application. I'll stop grant application, go back, fix it here, then go back and resume the grant application. So please make sure your information is correct for your contact. You can have up to 2 contacts associated with each grant application. So if you have 2, make sure you update your 2 contacts, but at least update yourself if you're going to be the POC for the grant. So again, wherever you see a pencil, go ahead and just update it. So let's say phone number. Wait a minute, that's not my right phone number. I'm 3336, not 3335. Click on edit phone, change it there, and voila, you've updated your phone number in real time in Salesforce in the contact object. Okay. Most importantly, and please do this, make sure your email address is accurate, valid, current, correct. Make sure you get email at that address, okay? Because what happens is, as different things happen in Salesforce, the system generates automatic notification emails to you. If you do not have a valid email address, you will not get those notifications. So you will miss those important notification emails that you get if you do not have a valid email address. So please make sure this is accurate, correct, and that you get email at this address. And this is an email box that you check regularly, right? Because your communications, you will get those notifications at this email address. All right, so make sure that's up there. In this case, it's good. That's my actual, my actual real email address, so it's correct. And I get email there every day. I have plenty of email. I get there every day, so I'm good with that. And this is all good. All right, so I've updated my account. I've updated my contact. So now I'm good to go back and start my application. So I'll go back to the home page. And again, it says, welcome to North Carolina Emergency Management Grants Board for Preparedness and Hazard Mitigation Grants. It's a mouthful, but that's again showing that this is a shared portal, both for our non-disaster preparedness grants and for our hazard mitigation grants, of which doesn't really apply to y'all. So you're here just for NSGP. Click on available grants, and you will see the grants that you can apply for. Okay. Again, there's a list here, and where you see a list, click on that black drop-down box and click available grants. Do not click recently viewed, especially if this is your first time. You might not see the grant you're trying to apply for, right? So click available grants and pin it. Please do not have recently viewed. Click available grants and pin it. Okay, then you will see NSGP here. Again, if you were a governmental organization that was eligible for different grant programs, you might see additional grants here that you could apply for, right? Between our grants and hazard mitigation grants, but this is just the NSGP program you can apply for at this time. So you can click on that right there. This is what we call, we've published the grant in Salesforce. So this is basically just information for y'all, okay? And I should back up too. Anywhere you see these kind of lines or boxes in Salesforce, these are called fields. Okay, so in the various fields, you see the information about the grant program. Importantly, your POP is your period of performance for your grant. So for this particular grant, your POP is going to be 9/1/24 through 8/31/27. Okay, and your applications are due by 11:59 p.m. on 5/31/24. So key dates are right here. What does that POP mean? That POP period of performance means that all of your eligible expenditures and your work must be completed no later than the end date of the POP, 8/31/27. You will not be reimbursed for any expenditures prior to the start of the POP either. Okay, so your expenditures have to be incurred. You have to receive the goods or services and pay for them within the period of performance to be reimbursed for those expenditures. And another important point to make here and to reiterate is that this is a reimbursement grant. Okay, so we don't front you the money. You have to engage in the work, complete the eligible expenditures during the POP, receive those goods or services during the POP, and then go ahead and submit all the documentation, which is a invoice or receipt, proof that you paid the invoice or receipt, and a summary of your expenditures. You will submit that with your request for reimbursement. If it's eligible and related to your approved project, you'll be reimbursed for it. Okay, so you have to make the purchase first, then you get reimbursed upon submission of the documentation, and all of that must occur within the period of performance of the grant. So those are important dates. And then here you can see the amount of funding that's available. So for the NSGPS or state program, you have the roughly $4.2 million that you're competing with among all the other nonprofits in North Carolina. If you were part of the UASI area, it's not filled in here, but you're competing nationwide for a pot of over $100 million, I think, nationwide with all the other UASI areas. So if you're not UASI, in this case, I'm not. I'm Durham County. I'm competing against all the other nonprofits in the non-UASI counties and across the state for $4.2 million. Maximum award I can get is $150,000 there. Ratios, this is important, 100% federal share, okay? There's nothing for the grantee to pay here. There's no non-federal share, no grantee responsibility. So there's no cost share or match for the grantee, and that's what this shows right here. It's a beautiful thing about this grant. It's 100% reimbursable with federal funds. No match is required on y'all's part. This is more information about the grant itself. Here's those UASI counties I was telling you about, the 8 counties, Mecklenburg and the 7 counties surrounding it. These are active hyperlinks, where you see the blue. So this is a link to the FEMA's website. Okay, so you might want to open that up as you're doing the application to have all the information from FEMA there. All right. And then this is the link to our NCEM website. Again, if you Google NCEM space NSGP, you'll find this anyway, but here's a link to it. So I'd have those two things open, as I'm going through and completing my application. All right, the other thing I think you want to have open is have that IJ form I talked about. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the IJ form. We already started here. You want to have your IJ completed before you start your application in Salesforce, okay? Because you're going to attach it to your application in Salesforce. All right, so please have your IJ complete, have your vulnerability assessment complete and ready to go, and your mission statement complete and ready to go. So you can upload those when you do your application in Salesforce. So when you click on your application in Salesforce, when you click to apply, which is this button here, before you do it, you want to update your account profile, update your contact information in Salesforce, make sure you've completed the IJ, vulnerability assessment, and your mission statement, and then read the information about the grant. Looks good. Now hit apply. Now you're all set to submit an application in Salesforce. It's really pretty simple from this point on. Am I ready to apply? Yes, I am. Okay, again, it imports the information from the account. So if your information is wrong here, you have to X out, go back and fix your account profile, and then reopen the application. Once you start working on an application in Salesforce, it will assign a unique application number, so you can always go back and work on it later, up until the point where the application period closes on 5/31/24. You can always come back and work on this later. But again, I've already updated this information in my account profile, so I know it's all good. Okay. Anywhere you see a red asterisk, you must fill those fields out in order for it to advance. So am I a nonprofit organization? Yes, I am. I'm Z Alpha Test. Nonprofit organization, headquartered in Durham, North Carolina. Okay, am I located within the UASI area? These are the counties for UASI. Okay, it's a very important question because, again, those particular UASI counties, the organization in those counties compete for a different pot of money. Okay, in this case, I am Durham County, so I will select no. I'm not one of those 8 counties. Right? Here's where you bring your POC information into the application. You must have 1 POC, can have up to 2 if you want, but you must have a primary POC. And again, hover over this to tell you what it means. Okay. So I'm going to put myself down here as the primary POC because I'm submitting the application on behalf of my organization. And it's going to import my information from the contact object into my application for me. So here it is right now. Okay. Again, the most important thing, that email address. All right. So I'm looking at it right now. It is good to go. If it's not right, I got to X out, go back, update my contact object, reopen the application, and update the application at that point. Okay, but it's correct because I checked it before I started my application. All right, it's going to ask you for a project title. All right, it's always going to just pretty much be target hardening. Okay, some people say facility hardening. All right, I usually see target hardening or facility hardening. If you have multiple locations, you have to submit a separate application for each location, as Brad mentioned. I think I mentioned before as well. So you would then just say target hardening Durham location, target hardening Wake County, whatever location is to identify that this title of this project is for a different location. Okay, but in this case, we just have 1 location. We're just going to say target hardening. Okay, I'm a single nonprofit located in Durham County. Save it next. Okay, this is where you create that budget line I talked about earlier. You're going to pretty much just kind of bring your information from your budget on your IJ over into Salesforce. Okay, so that's section 4B of the IJ. You're going to go ahead and bring that information into Salesforce. And the reason we do that is because if you get an award, okay, we can't manage the funds based off a static PDF, right? We have to have those fields completed in Salesforce in order to manage your funds and to make the award to you and to pay your request for reimbursement. Okay, so we have to have that data in Salesforce. We can't manage it from a static PDF. So you have to complete it on the PDF, bring it into Salesforce to create that budget. It's probably the most important thing for Salesforce purposes is getting a correct budget. Okay, so to do the budget, it's always going to enforce what we call POETI discipline. So you must have budget lines built based on a budget category: planning, organization, equipment, training, or exercise, POETI. So you must pick the appropriate budget category for the budget line. Okay. Now, in this case, I want to buy security doors. If you recall, we're going to buy more new doors because our front doors are not secure. We had a vulnerability assessment from a local police department and said, look, you're subject to break-ins because you have unsecure front doors. You need to get new doors, okay, that are secure. So we're going to fix that. So what category would that be? Planning, equipment, organization, training, or exercise? Well, that's equipment, right? So usually if you're buying stuff, cameras, doors, bollards, security systems, that's going to be equipment. You can do training or exercises, stop the bleed exercise, security training. So that would be those categories there. If you are doing contract security, you can call that planning or usually organization. One of those two would be called for contract security, wouldn't be equipment for that. If you are allowed to take up to 5% of your award, what we call M&A, management and administration costs. So M&A costs 5%. So if you had a $100,000 award, you could claim up to $5,000 of that award for M&A. That's kind of your overhead in managing the grant, if you will. So if you have that, I would just use the category of organization. But for this, we're going to keep it simple. We're going to buy some doors that cost $50,000, period. Okay. So I select equipment for my budget line. Description, right? Security doors, right? Cost $50,000. Again, I can apply for up to $150,000. That's all right. I can apply for up to, I can apply for up to $150,000 for a single location. This only cost me $50,000. To Robert's point, want to be reasonable, right? Don't just apply for stuff if you don't need it. Be reasonable in your application. Here, these doors cost $50,000. Again, the other thing you got to remember is you are fronting the money for these expenditures, right? So you have to buy this stuff up front, then get reimbursed for it, right? So make sure you're able to do that. We have had some organizations that have got the grant and are not able to make that initial purchase up front. So you have to have turning back that grant and giving that money back. All right, we don't want to be in that situation. So please keep your applications reasonable, the stuff that you can buy up front and then get reimbursed for later. All right, so it costs $50,000. AEL. All right, again, go back to section 4B of my IJ. The AEL is these alphanumeric characters right here at the beginning of the budget line on the IJ. Okay, do not copy the entire line or you'll cause an error message in Salesforce. Just copy the alphanumeric characters, in this case, 14 SW1 -door. Okay, just copy that and paste that right into your AEL. Oh, and you don't want that colon there. I made a mistake there. All right, so that's your AEL, authorized equipment listing. And you can Google FEMA AEL, and you can see there's a spreadsheet that has thousands of these items on there, and you can find your AELs that way as well. But the easiest thing to do for purpose of this grant, simply go to this form. When you have the line, the drop-down line completed on the form for your budget, simply cut and paste the first series of alphanumeric characters as your AEL, authorized equipment list. And you'll put it in there on Salesforce right there. Save and next. To create a budget line. You can create multiple budget lines, right, up to your maximum award amount. In this case, $150,000 would be the maximum award amount I can apply for a single site. But I don't want to. I'm good with just these security doors. All right, here's going to summarize your budget for you. And again, you can go ahead and edit it, create a new budget line if you want, or delete it and start again. But it assigns a unique budget line number in Salesforce, 1250, for equipment costing $50,000. That's exactly what I want here. I'm looking good. Finish with my budget. Next part, again, a very important part of the application. You're going to attach those required documents. You must attach your investment justification form, your mission statement, and vulnerability assessment. You're optionally can attach any other supporting documents that you want. Salesforce will take pretty much almost an unlimited number of documents if you want to upload them. You don't have to, it's not required, but some folks do. Some folks upload actual police reports. I think Robert mentioned they've had some unfortunate incidents there. And that's unfortunately happens in many nonprofits across the state. So if you have actual police reports, you can attach those. Crime statistics, if you're in a high crime area, I've seen folks attach that to show they're in the locations, their neighborhoods and subject to crime or criminal activity. Like Brad said, insurance claims, that's pretty creative. You can do that as well. So anything that would support, your actual vulnerabilities, you can feel free to attach it. If you want to do a narrative statement, type out a statement or, give some kind of additional information about why you want to get this grant. Again, it's a competitive process. So whatever you want to do, have at it. You can attach it here on the next screen here in Salesforce. But you must have the IJ mission statement of vulnerability assessment. Okay, so here is where you upload your documents. So you need to upload your investment justification first and foremost. I simply click upload files. It opens up. There's my IJ that I already have completed. I've already worked on it. It's on my local computer, right? Not on the internet, but it's on my local computer. I've saved it in my downloads folder. It's fully complete and ready to go. Simply upload it to Salesforce. Takes a minute here. Fairly large document. And when it's done, you'll see a green check mark. I have successfully uploaded my IJ. I'm good there. These next documents, the certification of the overdue tax, conflict of interest policy, procurement policy, electronic payment form, and substitute W-9. That's your tax. That's your state tax W-9. Your state tax W-9 form. These are optional at the time of application. Okay, they're required if you receive an award, but they're optional at the time of application. So if you want to upload them now, please do so. Have at it. Or you can wait till you actually get an award, and you'll be required to upload those documents. So for now, for purposes of time, we're not going to do it, but you can optionally upload those documents. Then to upload your vulnerability assessment and mission statement, come down to upload other at the bottom of the form here. Okay, click the drop-down list. So remember, there's a drop-down list here. Some people don't realize that. And there's a billion choices here of things you can pick. All right, but let's just say I've got my mission statement right there. Okay, it's like mission statement under other. Upload the file. I'll go ahead and my mission statement here in a minute. All right. I don't have a real mission statement. Just pretending it's a mission statement right here. All right. I got the green check mark. I have uploaded a mission statement. You can upload as many documents as you want under other. Simply keep using this again with the drop-down list to upload additional documentation. So go back to upload other now. Hit the drop-down list and click vulnerability assessment. This is an alphabetical list, by the way, so you can find it alphabetically. So vulnerability assessment is the end of the list. Click that, hit upload. So this is the second document I'm uploading under other. I've already uploaded my mission statement. Now I want my vulnerability assessment. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put that in here. Let me find a good one for that. I don't have a real vulnerability assessment, but pretend this is it. All right. Got the green check mark. So now I've uploaded a mission statement and vulnerability assessment. Let's say I have a police report or some other documentation I want to submit. Okay, I'll go ahead and just click this again. If you don't see the title of that documentation, I don't think there's one for police report here. So I'm just going to do other under other, right? So just a good catch-all. So upload other, drop down list other, and upload whatever else you want. Okay, this place is going to be a police report. Again, I don't have a real police report. We're going to pretend that I have a police report on my local computer. Let's just say it is this one here. All right. And I've uploaded all the documentation required for this application. Save and next. These are the certifications I must complete with any federal grant. There's a series of certifications you have to complete. And there are 6 certifications for this grant. The certifications over here, they must be completed. They're red asterisk. You must say yes to the certifications. They align with the certifications over here, right? So this application includes complete accurate information. If you agree to that, check yes. If you don't agree to that, it will not let you proceed with your application. So hopefully you agree with it. So this talks about EHP. So even if you're, in this case, putting indoors, it's going to require an EHP. But even if your project does not require EHP, this is just saying you acknowledge and understand that EHP is potentially applicable to your project. So you check yes here. And there's a link to get more information about the EHP process right there. Projects with funds allocated for equipment require you to list your AEL number. Again, there's a link to the FEMA AEL there, but we've done that already because we took it from the IJ, right? That 14 SW door, whatever it was, that's our AEL. Okay, so I understand we're getting equipment. I must have an AEL. Yes, I do. I've done that. So the project is not guaranteed funding. I understand that. It's a competitive process. I may or may not get funding. This is important. You don't realize it, but entities must be able to sustain capabilities. once NHB funds are no longer available. Okay. So what's that mean? If we're buying doors in this case, we're going to give you money to buy those doors, right? You get reimbursed for those doors, but you must maintain them in a state of good repair for the future, right? The federal government want to give you money to buy something and you let it go to waste. So you must have a plan in place to maintain the capacity or capability once you buy it with federal funds. In this case, we're going to maintain that door. So we say yes. And this is the most important right here, your false official statement language, okay, because this is a federal application, both, and you submit it to a state agency, both federal and state false official statement statutes apply. So if you lie on this application, it's just like lying to the FBI. It's subject to up to 5 years incarceration and a significant federal penalty, criminal penalty, as well as state sanctions as well. So it's just not worth it. Please do not lie on your application. So I understand that. I am certifying that I'm telling the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. All right. Let's check yes to all these certifications. Say the next, and your application is done. Now, when you look under your applications object, okay, in your on your Salesforce for your organization, now, I have a number of them here. You only have one if it's your first application. I've been using this for a while, so you can sort these lists by dates, most recent to most distant, or most distant to most recent. I've sorted here so the most recent applications on top. You can sort it by application number, however you want. But anyway, our application we just completed here today is right there, application 462. Okay, to assign a unique number to it, see alpha test, target hardening. There's my application I submitted. The details tab. Okay, so picture like this is kind of your grant record, if you will, your application record. If you had a manila folder, the left side of the folder is the information about your grant. The related tab is kind of all the documentation associated with that grant, right? So details is the information about the grant, left side of the folder. Right side of the folder, you have like a metal prong, and you stick all your documents attached to that metal prong in your folder, right? So these are all the associated objects with your application, right? Most importantly, in this case, I uploaded 4 documents, my IJ, mission statement, vulnerability assessment, and my police report. They're all right here. It assigns a unique number to them. You click on them, you can access those documents. If you upload a document in error, simply go to the arrow here. Okay, so let's say that police report's wrong. Go to the arrow here and hit delete. You can also edit it by uploading a new document if you want, replacing it, but I'm going to delete it in this case. Okay, I just got rid of that document, uploaded in here. Your budget, again, it assigns a unique budget number for you. So if you click on that budget, you will see all the budget lines underneath it, which is 1 for the security door. Okay, so that's over here as well. Your application history, right now we just created it. As the application goes through the approval process, you will see approvals down here if it gets approved. If you're lucky enough to get an award, you will see your award notification and your grant agreement here under awards object. All right. So this is pretty much a lot of all the information about the application and the grant. If you want to print it anytime, where you see printable view, simply click printable view. It will kind of access this PDF type document right here. Click print this page, and you can print it to PDF, save as a PDF, or print it to your printer if you want. Your choice. Okay, if you want a copy of it. In this case, I don't really need to do that, so I'm going to X out of that. Again, you can update your application, right? Now you went back to that application. If you want to update it up until the point that it's due on 5/31, you can do that. You can withdraw the application, start a new one, right, if you made a mistake, up until the point where it's due. Once it's 11:59 p.m. on 5/31/24, pencils down, no more updates will be allowed. And that is your complete application you've just submitted in Salesforce. Are there any questions? Okay, with that, I'll stop sharing my screen. I do see we have some additional guests here with us this morning. So Robert, I know you had some questions. I think we've answered those. Trish, hello again, Trish. Do you have any questions, ma'am, we can help you with?
Hi, how's it going?
Very good. Yes, ma'am.
I had a question about on the investment justification
Yes.
under the vulnerability assessment. Sorry,
Yes.
under the threat assessment. So we have a couple of articles that we referred to about active shooters and types of organizations that are susceptible from the FBI. and some other reports like that. And I didn't know about like citing sources on there. I had just put in, from this report with the link, and I know we're not really supposed to put links in there. I didn't know if I should upload the report under the documents or if just putting the link as the source of where that information came from was helpful.
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly access the link if you put it in there. We can find it. I've seen folks go both ways with that. Honestly, Trish, some folks, if it's an important enough study, you can attach it as another document if you want. It's kind of up to you. But I've seen folks do the links or attach those documents. But you do have to have a vulnerability assessment, though. So you have to have a vulnerability assessment specific to your location.
Right.
So
sorry, we do. Yeah, we've got that in there also.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome.
Perfect.
So with that vulnerability assessment, we need to just take the position that the more documentation, the better, correct?
Well, the vulnerability assessment is going to be specific to your location. So you have law enforcement come out or have the security firm come out and do it for you. You can do a self-assessment as well, sir. We can show you the link for that in a minute. There's a form for a self-assessment, especially for houses of worship. There's a special form for it. But basically, that vulnerability assessment is specific to your location and identifies the vulnerabilities that you're going to address with the funding. All right. So like in this case, for example, that vulnerability assessment said our front door is not secure. We're going to buy a door, right? We're not going to buy windows because vulnerability assessment said the door's broken, right? Not the windows. So it's got to line up to the vulnerability assessment.
Okay. All right. So I think we would probably tackle that from a two-tier aspect. We do have, or would create a local assessment, but we also have assessments from local law enforcement and other agencies. Also with certain instances that have happened, we'll reference those as well.
Yep, sounds good. All right. And Trish, what else do you have, man?
We have some incidents, break-ins and stuff like that where we don't actually have the police reports, but we have internal incident reports from those. Is that something that we could attach, or do we need the actual report from the police?
No,
okay.
you can. Yeah, again, it's a competitive grant program, so more persuasive will be a police report, but internal reports, I've seen people do that as well.
Okay. And then if we're doing, we're applying for multiple buildings. So we would just on the application, you said we would just title them differently. Say, this is for this building, this is for that building. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. Target hardening, building A, target hardening, building B. But again, it must be a separate application for each site, right?
Got it.
And you get up to $450,000 total, right? So if you have 3 sites, $150,000 each of the 3 sites.
Awesome. Okay. Sorry, last question for each of our expense items, I separated the equipment from the installation costs and then just put all the installation costs together at the bottom, but kind of itemized it in the description. Does that work? And is there any limit on the installation costs like there is for the M&A costs?
There's no limit on installation costs. You can break out separately. I mean, that's something you can do, certainly. I've seen people just kind of lump it together as well. So your choice. But no, there's no limit. I mean, the only limit is, of course, your total amount of your award, $150,000 per site. And if you're doing contract security, which I don't think you are from what you said, but that's limited. That's only 50% of your award. And M&A is 5%.
Awesome. That's all I have. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Good questions, Trish. And what was your organization again, Trish? I forget.
With the Museum of Life and Science in Durham.
Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah. All right. Beautiful location. Thanks, Trish.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. And Kyle, sir, I see you joined us. What questions do you have, sir?
We're just sitting in here listening, just make sure Robert's also on my team. So just listen to everything that you guys have.
All right. Perfect. Well, Robert, I think he's asked a lot of good questions. So I think we're good with that.
Jared,
yes, sir.
I put the link for the self-assessment in the chat.
Perfect. So if you can grab that, folks, you'll see the link for that in there. Is that for the house of worship, Brad? Self-assessment for the house of worship? Brad? I think Brad's doing it right now. He's putting a link in there now.
Yeah, it's in the chat now. You can use it for either or. It can be used for either or.
Okay. All right. So we're looking good on that. Are there any other questions from anybody on the call? All right. Brad, Amanda, anybody from the team want to add any final words of wisdom or parting thoughts on our last information session for FY24 NSGP?
I'd just like to add that the vulnerability assessment is what you use. It's the heart of your IJ. Those are the areas that you're going to be requesting funding for. Amanda and I are here to assist anybody in anything needed right now. The deadline is the 31st. So if you don't have your assessment done, you have to have that done first. So get that done. That's why I put the link in the chat. Good luck.
Absolutely.
All I got to say, Derek.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Good point. Yeah, Amanda.
Just put in the chat, if you run into any Salesforce issues or if it's giving you any trouble, please don't hesitate to reach out to Brad and I. We will be more than happy to help you and to walk you through it.
Outstanding. Thanks, Brad and Amanda, and great words of wisdom from Brad. At the end of the day, folks, this is a competitive grant process, and unfortunately, with competitive grants, the need is always greater than the limited resources we have. So we wish you all the best of luck competing for those resources. If you don't get it this year, try again next year, right? It's a pretty much program we get every year. So good luck. We look forward to your applications. Thanks, y'all. It's been fun, and we look forward to your applications. Have a good day. Bye-bye.